walk through with us the 4 pillars of thinking on your feet. And Kenneth has joined us. He's got many years, over 20 years of business development and dabbling in the financial information and solutions industry. I know Kenneth personally, and prior to where he is right now at Intellect Design, Treasury and Risk organization, he's been, helping Crispin Software, right? This regional company in terms of helping other companies residing in Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, and India markets to grow their digital transformation efforts. He is definitely a veteran here for sure because I've worked with him and I know he's pretty good with the clients. Maybe pretty good is underselling you. Okay, I shan't put any undue pressure on you because I don't want you to choke. Oh.
No,
Yeah.
Thank you for that introduction.
Yeah, and also finally, he's also a guest lecturer at St. Xavier's Institute of Management, and he has also taught international finance and quants. So do talk to him, do approach him if you've got questions. Of course, more importantly, do connect with him. So I'm going to stop share, Kenneth, and pass the floor to you, and then you can walk us through. Yay!
Yes, let me just share my screen.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
It's coming up. Yes, I can.
Is it in full screen mode? Because
it is.
It is. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks. Thank you, Eileen. So, like you said, I might choke. So, too many kudos. Sometimes it flips you over on the positive side. So, but anyway, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay, let me start first by giving you a quick introduction about myself. So I won't spend too much of time. I know a lot of you have questions on how can we handle the difficult situation of thinking on your feet when there's so much of pressure, so much of stress, but not distress. Distress is bad. Stress is good. So it's good. We can manage it. It can be done. All right. So let's look at that. But quick introduction about myself. I have more than 22 years of experience, pretty much all of it in sales. My career largely started with Reuters back then, and quite happy to say that Eileen was my boss.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
reporting into Eileen. So
I thought you were not going to announce that. Oh my gosh. But you spend more of your time in sales. So
yes. But I did have about, I think, 2 years as a trainer. So it helped me, doing training helped me develop my people skills. It helped me develop a lot of my relationship skills as well. Training is a good way to move into sales, but then I don't advise it for everyone. Because not everyone will have you as a manager.
They need a lot of patience. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, so then in 2012, I was with Genpact just for a year. I moved to Thomson Reuters for about 2.5 years. I was heading risk, governance, risk, and compliance. I went back to Treasury in 2015. I was with Calypso for about another 2.5 years. I was then with Chris Finsoft in Singapore. I was based out of Singapore because in my previous roles, I've been managing ASEAN as a region. So then I finally moved to Singapore. And now I'm based out of India with Intellect. I just joined them last year. So that is a quick background about myself. But basically, I've been doing sales pretty much all my life. I've been handling sales teams, and I've been doing a lot of interviews for sales. And in this discussion, in this dialogue, if I may say so, I would like to share my perspective on the interview. In terms of what does the person on the other side, what does the interviewer think when he asks you certain questions, and what is he expecting from you? Because we are both human beings, right? The interviewer and the interviewee, both human beings. There is a interplay of emotions, an interplay of somebody said witty. There is wit in an interview. When you're asking questions, you give a witty reply. That's good. I mean, humor in an interview is a good thing. So yeah. I'll stop here. Let's move on to the first question. How much to prepare? Now again, I'm giving you a sales perspective, so I don't want to limit myself, and I don't want to limit your range of thoughts also to sales. I'm although the questions that I've asked were largely to sales candidates, I personally believe, you know, this could come to anybody. These kind of questions anyone can get. These are very generic questions, which is why I've called it the four pillars of thinking on your feet. And the first question, not the first pillar, the first question you were probably asking yourself is, how much do I prepare? How much?
That's so
And
key. Yeah.
yep, absolutely. And I don't want to put a figure here. Sales guys are always putting figures, they're always on numbers: 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 week, 2 weeks. I'm saying uh, nothing is enough. You must prepare for an interview. If you know you're going in for an interview, you must do your preparation. You must study about the company. You must understand their lines of business. What is their revenue model? How are you going to help them generate more revenue? What is going to be the importance of your role in that company? And that is very important. You must do that preparation. That is very important. What kind of markets will you target? Who will be your customers? How will you get new customers? That preparation has to be there. There's no fixed number that I can give you, but all I can say is you absolutely need to prepare. You just simply absolutely need to prepare. So that is a given. Now, I'm going to talk about thinking on your feet, right? So here we come to the 80-20 rule. And I'm sharing from my experience as an interviewer that no matter how well prepared I think an interviewee as a candidate is, if I ask a question that is a little out of whack with what I think are the candidate's strengths and weaknesses, I find that the candidate gets very shaky.
Mm.
They stress themselves out, and I feel it's quite unnecessary. We don't ask questions to stress candidates. We ask questions for clarity. We want clarity from the candidate. That's it. There's no reason for us to put candidates under pressure unless the candidates are putting themselves under pressure. So 80% of the effort that a candidate would put into the interview generates surprisingly only 20% of the results. And in sales, results is all that matters.
Mm.
That 20% in the green zone that you see on top of effort, that is the effort that you have to put while you're thinking on your feet at the interview itself. That is the effort, and that will give you 80% of your results in the interview itself. It's called the Pareto Rule. But I don't want to discuss who Pareto is. He was there long before me.
Let's not
So,
test you.
but yes, this works. This works. This
Yeah.
surprisingly works. And so you might be asking yourself a question: if 80% of my effort is only giving me 20% of my results, why should I put in 80% of effort? Why not drop that down to 60 or 50? And the answer is, without that 20 in the results column, you still won't make the cut. You still won't make the cut. So you have to do that effort of 80%, because that 80% will help you prepare for the 20%. These two are married to each other. They are inextricably linked to each other. You cannot divorce the preparation effort with the effort that you put in on the spur of the moment when you're thinking on your feet during an interview. That is the 80-20 rule. And it's a very, very important. You must know this because it'll help you to provide better results for yourself at the interview. Okay, moving on. Here's my take on thinking on your feet. Okay, this is my personal perspective. So somebody spoke about being fast. You know,
Yeah.
yes, yes, you have to be fast, but it is not about speed. It is not. We are not expecting candidates to speak immediately after I finish asking the question. We are not expecting it. So don't think that the moment, and sometimes there's a misconception, there is this perception that if I answer a question quickly, I'm giving the impression that I'm confident. But I don't agree, It all depends on your answer. If your answer is good, even if it has come after, let's say, a few seconds, as long as it's the right answer, you're confident. You can be confidently giving me the wrong answer. What's the use?
Mm.
It doesn't work then that way. So don't focus on the speed aspect. Don't focus on being fast. Focus instead on thinking. And that's what we're going to discuss, right? So here it is. It's about creating time. Okay, all I'm saying is that most of the candidates that I've spoken to, they already know the answers. It's just that on the spur of the moment, they haven't thought about it to give me the answer that you know they want to give, not that I want to hear, but that they want to give. So they start with A, but because of the stress of the situation or because they haven't thought about it, they have given me an answer B or an answer C, and it's not a meaningful answer. So you have to create time for yourself.
Mr. D'Souza, are you still there? Oh, I seem to have lost him. Or is it just me? Everyone too? Oh, yes. Yes, everyone said as well. He's in this freeze mode. Okay. Let's see if he's able to come back. Let me try and see if I can get him, right? Um, okay. All right. Okay, so if we, all right, probably he's gonna dial in again. Right, he's not in yet. Okay, if not, what we can do is to maybe kick off with, continue on with, oh me, you're so mean. Yes, yes, probably, most likely he's having internet problems. Yeah, you're so right. Okay, I'm gonna just ask Gary to stand by. Gary, can you stand by?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so why don't we continue with yours? Continue with yours, yeah? I'm just gonna, if he joins, when Kenneth joins, that's fine. If it's not, then I'm just gonna ask Gary if he can kick off with his. Okay, sorry about that. Things happen. Thinking on your feet, I'll say. Okay, cool. Ah, yes. Gary, can I pass it to you?
Sure.
Okay.
I
I think there was a question, if I can, there was a question about tell me about yourself at interviews. As I mentioned over there, sometimes it's an icebreaker. It's sort of just having, getting the candidate warm up into the interview itself. Sometimes it could be the interviewer, getting themselves warmed up to the candidate. But what you should be covering in your executive summary or how you introduce yourself, we always suggest 3 sentences. You can add a little bit more from there, but 3 points. Number one is your background. What's your role? What industry do you come from? And also what kind of companies, right? Or companies that you have worked with. That gives a very nice broad brush. And the second one would be your achievements, key achievements or your strength, something that's worthy of mention. The last one is going forward, what's your career objective? What's next? So essentially, are you going to the same role, same kind of role, or same kind of industry? And oh my, hi, I see Kenneth. Okay, so let me just finish off first. So whether you're going to the same role, same industry, or different role, different industry, and then there are 6 different permutations there. If you're there for the interview, most likely there are 4 options that you're looking at. Okay, so that gives a very nice broad brush. And as you and I know, attention span is very short, and therefore keep your sentences short and have a lot of pregnant pauses. So basically, have some pauses to give the interviewer some chance, right, to respond. Okay, Hannah, is that you or is that your poster? Is that you? You need to unmute.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
I am so sorry. I'm
It's
so sorry.
okay.
I don't know what happened. I was talking. I don't know where I left off, and I think the internet must have gotten frozen. I'm really sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah,
You're back
good.
now,
Yeah,
and maybe it was the slide after the 80/20.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. So I just want to apologize to everyone. Really sorry about this. You know,
Okay, don't say anymore. Don't apologize.
I am so stressed that I think I'm going to choke now.
Choking. Hurry up. The internet bandwidth is choking too.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I was on the last part, which is my take on thinking on your feet is it helps you to deal with questions that you normally would have answered well. If you were talking to your friend, if you were talking to a colleague, if you were talking in a less stressful situation, you probably would have answered that, in a jiffy. But just because you haven't prepared for it at that interview, you probably know the answer at the back of your mind, but you're not prepared for it at the interview, you tend to make mistakes. And that is what we are trying to correct. Okay, there is no need for you, and Eileen said you need to trust yourself, you need to have confidence in yourself. There's no need to doubt yourself. Self doubt is a bad thing. You know the answer. So
Mhm.
when you go in into the interview, the first thing you should be telling is, okay, fine, telling yourself is, okay, fine, this is a question I'm not prepared for, but here I know the answer. And
Yeah.
make time then to present the answer. Okay, let's move on to a framework for thinking on your feet. Okay, so there are four principles, and this is a common practice. Okay, the first one is listen well. You must listen to the question. Okay, and these are what I call innocuous questions. They are harmless questions. Again, I'm repeating, no interviewer wants to give you a stress interview. They want you to feel comfortable, but they want to know how you fit in with the plans that they have for you in the organization. So as an example, if I were to ask you a question, give me a brief introduction about yourself. If you were listening, what is that one word that you would pick up from this question? Because very often when I ask this question, the candidates, I'm sorry, yes, Eileen?
No, no. Sally got it right. Yeah. Sally was the first who typed brief.
Yeah, brief, because
Yes,
candidates go
yes, that's
on
very true. Yeah.
and on talking about themselves.
Yeah.
And you have to realize, sometimes when you get into an interview situation, the interviewer is
Mm.
coming in with a fixed amount of time, 1 hour or maybe 45 minutes. And sometimes things spill over. He or she got stuck in a meeting, now has to crunch that 45 minutes into 30 minutes. So in the 30 or 35 minutes that he's got with you, he's going to try and get as much as he can that he would normally have got in 45 minutes or maybe an hour. So it's crunching a lot of data. And when he says, or when she says, give me a brief introduction about yourself, keep it brief. Don't go on and on speaking about yourself. Why?
Okay.
Because
There's a question from Eric. How brief
yeah.
is brief?
So it depends on the time that you have. Okay, if the
Ah,
interviewer said 1 hour and then he says, give me a brief introduction about yourself, you could probably take some time to talk about the most important aspects of your CV. What are the most recent accomplishments? Not more than 2 to 3 minutes, I would say, is the max. But if that 1 hour, for not for your fault, but for the manager's fault, he comes in, let's say, half an hour late and says, now I've got only half an hour with you, then you really got to keep it down to maybe 1.5 minute, and you have to crunch that 1.5 minute. This is what I've done.
yeah.
These are
So
my accomplishments. So yeah, go on,
no,
Eileen.
I think that's cool. I gave a guideline of 3 sentences,
Yeah,
and attention span is very short. Keep it in lots of 30 seconds.
yeah,
So 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Have a hook at the end. Yeah,
yes,
that's
absolutely. So
very nice.
brief remains brief. Okay, and always look at the time. If the interviewer is late, be ready for questions that will focus on how quickly can you give the answer. And questions will deviate from the regular format because they're crunching time. Okay, I'll spend a lot of time on making time to think. Even in a crunch situation, you have to make time to think. You have to. And this is something that you owe yourself. Yeah, you have to make time to think, and you have to do it at that interview itself. So we'll discuss that in detail. So I won't spend time on that now. And here you have to think carefully. Your response has to be a measured response, and it has to be uh, something that you have thought about on the spur of the moment. So you have to think about what are you going to say. Now, in a crunch situation, you will have alternatives. You will be thinking, okay, do I answer A? Do I answer B? Do I answer C? What do I answer? Like I said, most of the candidates already know the answer. But which of A, B, and C are you going to give as your right answer?
Yeah.
Like, for example, um, you know, uh, what are the two most positive attributes about yourself? Now, I'm sure you have a list of attributes, right?
Not just two.
Yeah. Uh, uh, what is the two most important of those positive attributes that you want to create an impression with at the interview?
Yeah.
You've got to think about that. Yeah? And if you haven't prepared for this, then you have to make that time to think about, okay, what kind of a job I'm applying for? I'm applying for a sales job. Okay, so what kind of skill would I need? What kind of a positive attribute would I need for sales? I would need relationship skills. I would need demonstration skills, public speaking, so many things that you can think of, closing skills, sales closure skills. There are so many things that you can think of. So please think about it and make time to think about it. So when you're making time, don't fret, oh, I've got only 30 seconds. Don't look at the watch. Just think about what am I going to say and how am I going to give this answer. And the last one, okay, I'm sorry. This is a very interesting example that I got, okay? I'd asked a candidate, what is the market potential for my product, for my organization's product in Malaysia? The candidate was from Singapore. And it was for a sales interview. And the candidate, gave me the answer that I think is the most common answer in the world. Do you know what is the most common answer in the world for difficult questions? The most common answer is, I don't know.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's okay in a crunch situation, in a difficult situation, if you do not know the answer to a question, especially a pointed question like this one,
Mm.
say, I don't know, admit it. But when you say I don't know, just don't say I don't know and stop. I don't know. Okay, next please. No, 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 no. That's not the approach that the interviewer is expecting from you. You have to also, at the end of that statement, I don't know, you have to tell me, you have to tell the interviewer, how are you going to find out? Okay, so you don't know the market potential in Malaysia as of today. Fine, but how are you going to find out? What's your avenues for getting that information? Do you have connects in Malaysia? Do you have relationships there? Do you know the banks? Do you know the customers? Do you know partners? Do you know vendors? Do you have research analysts? How are you going to get that information? So that is what you need to think about. So I don't know is a very simple answer to give. You either know or you don't know. You know that in a second. But you got to spend the next 10 to 15 seconds now thinking about, oh, how am I going to find out? Because if you're not thinking like that, you're not giving the interviewer what he wants. You're not giving me what I want to hear.
Yeah.
And a lot of candidates, I'm telling you, a lot of candidates say I don't know, and they stop there. No, don't stop at I don't know. Be positive. Tell me, how will you find out? That's what I want to hear. Okay, you were saying something, Heidi?
Oh, no, no, no. Just say no. But were you reading my mind? I didn't even say anything. But you do have like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Mhm.
So be positive. I'll give you an example. I don't know is a sort of a negative answer. You don't have to be scared about it. Be truthful. Say I don't know.
Right.
Be honest, but also be positive in your response. After I don't know, say how you explain how you will find out what is the market potential in Malaysia. Okay, I'll move on then to the first poll. But before we start the poll, I'm going to just give everyone a poll here. Now,
Oh,
just let's just understand the question. I've asked this question very often in my current role. how much sales revenue did you achieve during the lockdown? Now, everyone has gone through this phase. Everyone has been through ups and downs during the lockdown. It has impacted pretty much everyone on the globe, right? And let's look at the reality. The reality is you have not achieved any sales. That is the truth. Okay? How will you answer this question? Eileen, can you publish the poll?
Yes. Everybody should be able to see the poll now on screen. So the choices are there. How much sales revenue did you achieve during the lockdown? So option number one is none. Two is I was unable to get to work and use the office infrastructure, which impeded my performance. I didn't get any sales, but I built my pipeline through digital channels. And the last one is clients were not willing to meet me, so I couldn't achieve. Yeah, okay, couldn't achieve much at all. So very nice. We've got half of the crowd who have voted. That's great. That's like over 100 over of you. All right. There's still another about maybe 70 who have not voted, but it's all coming in. So it looks like only Kenneth and I can see the popular choices. But but yes, we will be sharing. So any more last minute votes? Anyone want to put in their choice? So it looks like okay. So do we want to stop? I think
Yes.
we have a good close to 70% already. All right. Last minute vote. Here we go. Yeah, just gonna stop it, and I'm gonna share the results. So I think everybody can see the result here, Kenneth.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see this. This is the answer that I was expecting. Okay,
Okay,
so very good,
so you
very
passed
good.
then. All right,
Yes,
everybody
yes,
passed.
yes, yes. If you if you apply to my company with this answer, you've already cleared the first hurdle. But there are four, so
Yeah,
there are three more
indeed.
coming up. Right.
All right.
Good answer. I'm very happy to see this. I'll just move on quickly. Let me explain. You see, let me just put all the questions. Yeah. Now, the lockdown has been negative for everyone, including the interviewer. So if I'm interviewing you, I too have gone through some negativity during the lockdown. It has impacted me adversely. But the most important thing is be positive. So be truthful first, admit that you have not done any sales. Two, convince the interviewer, convince me that you will be able to, yeah, if not build your pipeline, but at least achieve your targets. You will be able to put in the effort to get in more customers through other channels, which will work in a lockdown. So digital channels, for example, will work in a lockdown. And if you can give me some numbers on how many new customers, how many clients, how many new prospects, what is your pipeline, that helps a lot. That helps a lot. So good. This was a good response. I'm very happy. Those who replied A, B, and D, don't have to worry. We all make mistakes. I'm going to share some of the mistakes that I made in an interview, and we all learn from a mistake. So don't worry about that. Yeah. So here I'm going to talk about how to make time. I saw somebody saying pause and maintain eye contact. Now, uh, you know, I think eye contact in an interview, especially when you are asked a question that you don't know, is very important, right? So am I coming right into the camera here? So
Yeah,
even
yeah,
in a virtual interview, I literally got to look you in the eye,
yeah.
even in a virtual interview. Yeah, you've asked me a question. I'm thinking about the answer, but the last thing I should do is do this, or do this, or do this.
Don't disappear on us again.
Yeah, that's the last thing you should do.
Yeah,
Maintain that contact. Yes, you're thinking, but I'm still maintaining that eye contact. What it does for me as your interviewer is it gives me the impression that you're still engaged. Otherwise, I'll think I've
right,
lost you.
right.
Hey, did you understand what I'm saying? Why are you so silent? No, but when I maintain that eye contact, I'm engaging, non-verbally, but I'm engaging with you. That is very important. So you pause. Yes, take your time by all means, but don't disconnect from the interviewer.
Right.
Don't disengage, and don't look away. Don't look away. That shows that you're not very confident. Maintain that eye contact even in virtual mode, even when you're on the computer in front of a camera. Maintain that eye contact. Make sure that the camera is, right in front of your eyes, literally, so that the interviewer can look into your eyes and you can look into the interviewer's eyes. So, Eileen, I think you have brown eyes, right?
Wow. If you can tell that my eyes are brown, you're looking too close. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, ask permission to think. I've had many candidates saying, uh, "Can I take a few moments to think?"
Right.
I think that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's good if you ask for permission, and it's not going to create any issues with the impression or the perception that the interviewer has about you. Go ahead, ask for permission to think, okay, and use that time which he or she says yes. Go ahead, use that time to think. Don't fret. You got the time. You're still uh, thinking, but you're not coming up with an answer. So think well so that you can come up with the answer. But yes, by all means, do ask permission. Then, here's where I said I'll share some of the mistakes that I've made. So when I was, uh, young, not that I'm old, but when I was younger in my earlier days, um, I, I would get situations where I really did not know the answer. And there are gestures which you can make which convey to the interviewer that you're thinking, right? So some of the gestures that I would recommend today is, you know, maintain eye contact, but just, or simply not. Yeah. The thing you shouldn't do is, wait, let me think. Don't scratch your head. Just give give yourself space.
Like that, I can't stretch my
Eh,
hand.
no, I've got this on my thing, so I'm actually scratching my
Right,
headphones. but,
right, right,
but but don't make gestures that show that you're confused. Don't make gestures that show that you don't know the answer.
right.
Make confidence gestures. Nod your head. Just gently strike your chin, for example.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So make the gestures, but by all means engage. Keep your engagement on when you're making that time. Now, fillers to a minimum. What are fillers? Fillers are your and ums, and you've really got to reduce that. Okay.
Right.
Let me give you an example. Suppose I were to ask you a question. Tell me something about yourself. There's no quickly here now. Tell me something. There's no brief introduction about it. Just tell me something about yourself. You have to have prepared for this answer. If you start with a filler like, you're giving me the impression that you don't know something about yourself. What are you thinking about? So there are occasions when you shouldn't be using fillers, where the interviewer expects you to know the answer reasonably well. And tell me something about yourself is something that you have to know reasonably well. You have to have prepared for that. If you're going to start with a filler, or you make this gesture, about myself, yeah, you want to know about me,
Oh,
yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm talking to you, right? So I want to know more about you. What are you
Yes.
thinking about? You don't know yourself?
Mm.
No, that's not a good impression to give. So keep fillers to a minimum. Use it only if you're struggling to think. Use it to make that little bit of time for that extra few seconds to give you that time to think. And you know that you have the answer, just that few extra seconds. Speak slowly, but not so slowly that the interviewer goes to sleep.
Right.
No, you don't want to speak that slow. And I've had candidates, really, they speak at a certain speed, and then they go very slow. And I'm just wondering, it can't be so drastic. Your speed has to drop, yes, but not so much. So, as an example, my name is Kenneth Souza. That's my normal speed. That's how I speak. My name is Kenneth Souza. I took a pause. I took some more time. Speak slowly. Okay, make time for yourself, because when you speak you think, and you're giving yourself time to think ahead, especially about the question that is being asked. Okay, and by all means ask the interviewer to repeat the question. This again is something that works when the question is complex, right? It doesn't work when the question is simple. Yeah. What's your name, young man? Can you repeat that question? You don't know your name? You want me to repeat the question when about your name?
Yes,
So
game over. I like Eric's comment. Eric say it's game over.
yeah. So
Say that
com-
again.
yeah, complex questions by all means. Simple questions, no. And that judgment is yours. That no one can is nobody can handle you on what is complex and what is simple. Yeah. All right. Moving on. I have another poll question,
Yeah.
which is the second question that I often ask. Again, it's salesy, and you can publish this. Yeah.
Yep, it's out now. So what target will you commit to this year? If your previous year's target was 1 million USD, what will you commit to? Will you say A, due to COVID, I can take only half? Or B, markets that are opening up can help me hit half, right? So half a million USD. Or the third one is my territory has markets that have no air bubbles. And I can take a target only after the air bubble agreements are in place or are in. The last one is most markets are doing badly. So I can take maybe half and defer maybe a quarter to next year. So basically deferred target. I think the audience here is quite split. Quite split, right, in terms of the choices. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very nice. We're getting a lot of votes coming in. I can see the spread. A few more. Maybe we can push for a few more votes to come in before we stop the vote. Okay, I think we are good. All right, I'm going to share the results. I'm stopping the poll. I'm sharing the results. So please take a look at what the audience have chosen. Do they pass?
Ah, no, unfortunately. 55% have said markets are doing badly, uh, and they would like to defer 250K to the next year. Okay. Okay, let me explain. Okay, let me explain this from the framework that we discussed. So if you get a question like this, and especially if you're applying for a sales interview or for any other interview where there are numbers being discussed and performances being discussed, and that will get discussed regardless of whether you're in sales or in any other field, you must make the time to think about that number. Think, what is the number I'm going to cover? If you haven't already prepared for it, make time to think about what that number is. And then, and this is why you need to make that time, you need to think about how am I going to justify that number. Now we all know COVID. Everybody talks about COVID. Okay, COVID is hampering our performance. But one, look at number one. Due to COVID, I can take 500K. That all the responses are 500K. So what are you doing here? You are negotiating with your manager. You're negotiating with the interviewer. You are building negotiating skills at the interview itself.
Yeah.
And at senior levels, don't be surprised if targets come into the picture and you find yourself, ask yourself as a candidate asking questions about targets and what kind of targets would work and not work. So you got to be ready for this very impromptu discussion, which is very difficult to prepare for in advance, but you must do your homework. So what kind of homework can you do here? We all know COVID was bad. We are all, we've all thought about it. 500K is the target that we all think can be hit. Let's assume that as the base, as the foundation. But that first answer is just to simply blunt. And as a sales manager, I just don't want a number. I want, literally the meat behind the number. What is the logic? How are you going to get that 500K?
Yeah.
Convince me that you can get 500K and not 100K or 200K. Or if I'm aggressive manager, why 500K? Why not 750? So be ready for counter questions. But that first response was just too blunt. Let's go to the second one. Now, in the interest of time, the second one is the best answer that I could think of. Okay, I would like to hear this answer.
Right.
And I would select a candidate that gives me an answer like this. Why? One, because the candidate is negotiating and I'm expecting the candidate to negotiate. As an interviewer, it's okay for you to negotiate. It's about targets. Things have been difficult. So you're talking, you're discussing. But you're also telling me how you're going to get your 500K. You're looking at markets that are opening up. Now, I didn't go into too much of detail here, but that shows that you have positive intent. You're looking at the markets that probably have air bubbles in place, that probably do not have a lockdown in place, that face-to-face meetings have started, where you can do a demo on site, where you can do a POC or a UAT on site. All these things you probably factored, and therefore I'm going to cross question you. Obviously, I'm not going to just take this answer, but the fact that you're thinking positively, you're thinking about which avenue can you get your business from, that is what I'm looking for. My territory that has this is an excuse. We don't like excuses. All the territories, most of the territories don't have air bubbles, right? That can't be a reason. We want achievers. We want guys who can say, yeah, I know there's a problem, but here's how I'm going to solve the problem. Be part of the solution. We all know what the problems are. You don't have to tell the interviewer what the problem is. They know it. They know it in advance. They know about COVID. They know about air bubbles. They know that markets are doing badly. But a deferred target, I will do some part this year and some part next year. Are you okay if I pay you some part this year and some part next year? No, right?
Oh, you're such a tricky interviewer. I see. Oh, that's another nugget of gold, huh? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you
I
never
mean,
know. You never know, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But the point is, sometimes you got to put yourself in the interviewer spot and say that, okay, I'm just trying to understand what is on the mind of the interviewer. And
Yeah.
what I'm telling you, what's on my mind when I ask this question is, I want to see whether the candidate has clarity of thought on not just what his target or her target is, but on how that target is going to be achieved. Is a mini sales plan already there in place? Has that thought process happened? So that's the answer that I was looking for. I will now go. This is not a poll, so in the interest of time, I know I have to wind up in like 5 minutes, right, Eileen?
You've got like 9 minutes. Keep
9
it
minutes.
keep
Okay.
fun.
Okay. So no polls here in the interest of time.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question now, which I think most candidates will be asked in some form or the other. What was the most significant deal that you've lost in sales? What was the biggest failure that you've had in your career? Something that has to do with
Okay.
loss.
I think
Yeah.
that's a request to show question 2. So if you can just back up very
Back up.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. 3, 2, 1. Snap. Next.
Moving on.
Yes, move on. Thanks.
Okay. So, yeah. Uh, what I would say is, don't focus on the details of the loss. What is the most significant deal? Oh, I lost a $5 million deal. Oh, I lost a $10 million deal. As a manager, I don't want to know that you're losing big deals. So don't focus too much on the details of what happened in that loss. Okay, but focus on the learnings from that failure. Focus on
I like
what
that.
did you get? What did you get from that loss?
I
Yeah.
like Yeah.
If you focus on numbers, yeah, and say, oh, I lost 5 million, 7 million, you're planting the seeds of doubt in your interviewer's mind. Can you handle deals? Can you handle large deals?
Yeah.
Don't get into that. Get into the qualitative aspects, and spin it. Give it a positive spin. He's not asked for a number. He's just asked what is most significant. He didn't say what is the largest deal that you've lost, right? What is the most significant? Give it a qualitative aspect. And if he says, okay, and here's where you have to think about it, right? The question is significant. It's not about numbers here. So think about a deal where you probably would have got, let's say, 500,000, 1 million, but you learned a lot. Your learnings from that deal will help you to achieve a lot more. So let's look at how we can handle a question on failure. I asked a candidate, okay, and I asked many candidates actually, why did you fail in a particular bank? Okay, I'm naming the bank. It's a
Yeah.
small world. We know which sales guy has done what kind of deal, was involved in which deal in which bank. I asked her, why did you fail in that particular bank? Okay, and this is the answer she gave me. She said she had not mapped the right stakeholders and she had focused only on the treasury stakeholders, the treasurer, the people in treasury, the dealers, the traders. But the key influences were in branches. They were in the retail side of the business. And that is why I lost. No mention about numbers, but a very clear explanation on why she lost. And then, most importantly, that last statement, So in the next bank, I mapped those guys too and won the deal. Of course, she didn't say that, but I would like to hear that. I would like to hear, okay, what did you do with this failure? What are your learnings?
Yeah.
How did you win now? And if you can give me that, your failure question is a success. That's what I want to hear.
I think this is good because a lot of candidates are, at a toss between, telling the truth and the whole truth and
Yeah,
learning, how to present the story, which is the truth as
absolutely.
well. I think the key thing is not to lie. Uh,
Yes,
but
yes,
yeah. So I like that.
yeah. Never lie because it's a small world. We know
Yeah,
what the deal sizes are.
especially amongst HR.
Uh,
Okay, cool.
All right. The next question. Okay. We spoke about failures in the previous question. Now about wins. Sales is all about numbers, all about winning, winning big. So when you ask this question, don't focus on the history of the deal. What I mean by this is don't get into the details of okay, this deal started here, then we did this demo, and then the products that were being mentioned in the bill of materials was so and so products. No, 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 no. This is an interview that is focusing on your sales skill, not on your memory skill, sales skill. So what you do have to focus on is on the positives. What did you do differently? What clinched it for you? And it's not rocket science, guys. It's not rocket science. I see many candidates trying to make it rocket science by saying, okay, we introduced artificial intelligence, we introduced machine learning, robotic process automation. It's not about that. You know, it's just very simple. Have you done anything different? And if yes, what did you do? And if it's not different, doesn't matter. What clinched it for you? Even if it's the same old story, what clinched it? Tell me what clinched it for you. Can I give this answer? I won because my price was lower. No, I don't need a sales guy to sell on price. I don't need
The
that.
ironic thing. I think that's the ironic thing. Yeah, right? A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people would love to offer a deal where you're very price competitive,
yeah,
but for somebody who is hiring a salesperson, you would like to think that that person brings in different skill set as well, not just going on price. Yeah,
yeah. And oh, look at this answer now.
no need training. Yeah,
I
sorry.
won because I had strong relationships, better connects with very key stakeholders like the treasurer, the CTO, the CFO. You might be thinking, wait a minute, this is a treasury deal. What is the CFO doing there? The money, the budget. I got to map this guy just to make sure that he's going to release that budget so that I finally win the deal. Because if everyone else is happy, but the CFO says, no, I'm not, what's the point? I mean, I'm still going to lose that deal. I need to map the stakeholder as well. I need to map the CFO to make sure that my budget is aligned with his expectations. And so we haven't spoken about numbers. Here, the question is, what is your biggest win? No numbers yet. I might cross question you and say, what was the size of the deal? But you are giving me very positive reinforcement here as to your sales skill. What are the skills that you used while winning the deal? And this has to come out in every interview, regardless of whether you're in sales or HR or marketing or just back office operations. It doesn't matter. Sell your skill. That's what you've got to do. In an interview, you are a sales guy, you're a sales girl, you are selling yourself, and you've got to think of yourself as a salesperson. Sell your skills, sell your positives. Okay. All right. In the interest of time, I'm just gonna share a fun fact. It's not. It's okay. It's funny because of the different types of answers that one can get. But I don't want to spend too much of time on the different types of answers. So I'll go straight into it. 22 years that I've had. The one question now that I, as a candidate, have been asked most often. You know, all this time we've been talking about myself as an interviewer, but as a candidate,
Yep.
this is the one question that I've been asked, even in my last job.
Mm.
Yeah. Or the way you can, it's framed differently, but basically the one question that I've been asked is, what are the three things that help you to win the deal? Now I've used the word the deal because very often, especially at my level, they ask me about a specific deal. Bank ABC, bank XYZ. they ask me about one specific deal.
Yep.
The answer is not about numbers. The answer is not about, the history of the deal, the bill of materials, the software, the complexity of the software. The answer is very simple. The answer is it's all about managing relationships. It's all about managing timelines. And I know I have to manage the timeline right now. Eileen, I think I've got just 2 minutes.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah, and also managing expectations of the customer. Very often, the customer, when he's engaging with you, will ask for the world, and heaven above. So you've got to manage those expectations. Sometimes having difficult conversations, saying that you can't deliver certain things because it's not within the scope. You have to manage the scope. You have to manage his price expectations, and most importantly, you have to win over the client's confidence and trust. Yeah, these three things are the things that have helped me to win deals in the past, generically, in a generic sense. This is the one question. And on a, because it's a fun fact, I used to say things like, it's my pleasant personality, it's my smile.
And
I
then
never
no,
got through. I
no,
never got through. You know, I never got through. In my early years, I used to say patience, perseverance. No, that
right,
never got me through.
right.
It's it's about your sales skill, not about your psychological skills, if I may say so. It's good to have patience and perseverance, but this question is a very specific question about the deal, about a specific deal, or generically about winning deals. So focus on the positives again. Focus on how you can get there. And
Yeah.
this is what most managers would want to hear. Quickly now, I'll end over here very quickly. I'll just summarize the four pillars. What did we speak about? We spoke about how to handle failure. There was a question on failure. We spoke about that. We spoke about engaging with your interviewer, and also not worrying about negotiating, discussing numbers, discussing targets, discussing job profiles, the role, the responsibilities. It's all part of the process. You must ask questions when the interviewer says, okay, do you have any questions? Okay, be positive. Absolutely be positive. Okay, even if you are answering a question in a no, try to say yes in some form or the other. Like, for example, no, I did not do this market, but here's how I can get into that market. No, I haven't penetrated into, let's say, ASEAN before, but here's how I can do it. And here's the connects that I have, here are the relationships that I have. And always speak the truth. It's a small world. It's very easy to know what others are doing in the market. So speak the truth, be honest about it, but be positive in the truth. Okay, my final takeaway, it's not the fifth pillar, but it's very important. Prepare, do the 80% of your preparation, and if you follow the guidelines that I've given, you'll get through in that 20% as well. All the best, guys. I'll end over here. I'm sorry, I'm 2 minutes over time. So I
Thank
hope
you.
you found this useful. Happy to take
Yes,
any questions as we
yes,
get along. Yeah.
yes.
Over to
We
you,
will
Eileen.
have questions. We will have questions later, but thank you so much. I'm gonna ask you to stop share, and
Yeah.
then I'm asking Gary to get ready for his deck.